Okay, I think we are up. So we are up. Pretty in Peace, Not in Pieces. A healing experience with Tahita and Tasha. So this is weird how it looks on my end, but give me one more, guys.
Okay.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's like an echo on here. Hold on one moment. Let me look at something. All right, guys, we're gonna roll with it. I'm able to hear, but it's like an echo, and I'm not sure why we have an echo. But this is Pretty in Peace, Not in Pieces, episode 41. We have switched platforms, and we may switch again. We'll see how all this goes. But we do have a very important guest tonight, and I'm just so her bravery tonight of sharing her story. That sharing a story such as what we share on our platform is far from easy. So just want to thank our guests in advance. And Tasha, hand the floor over to you. You do just such a wonderful job of introducing our guests, but I just want to personally thank you, Beth, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
so
me.
much. Yes, thanks, Tahita. So I had the opportunity of meeting this woman, that Calamaya. She's phenomenal. I met her on one of the other groups on Facebook, and I actually went into that group. I'm kind of a person that I sit in the background of things, and I watch and I read a lot of the comments that the moms that are making. So one particular day, God led me to just go ahead and put a post in there to reach out to see if any moms were interested in being on the podcast to share their stories. And Beth was one of the moms that did respond and was serious about telling her story about her son Michael, that she lost. And without any further ado, I'm not gonna hold Beth up, but I'm going to Beth, if you could just introduce yourself and just share your story, let everybody know what you went through with your son Michael in his illness, and tell us all about that, and then whatever else you feel the need to share. Okay.
All right, thank you. My name is Elizabeth Hallemeyer, and I'm from Ellsbury, Missouri. And my son was 39 years old, and he was special needs. He was born with a cleft lip and a TE fistula, which led to him having a tracheostomy and a feeding tube for like the first 5 years of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And then he seemed to get better and he was able to eat by mouth, but he would choke on simple things. And so it got to the point he had to be put into a locked-in facility group home for his own safety. And his choking got worse. And they called me and said, well, there's nothing more we can do. He's going to have a feeding tube the rest of his life.
Oh
And
wow.
so I discussed it with him, and he said, no, I'm tired and I'm just ready to go home.
Mm, yeah. Oh
How old
wow.
was he?
39.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it
He had
was
been for a
nothing.
while.
So for 30, how long was it that he had to have the feeding tube?
They said he'd have to have it for the rest of his life.
Wow.
And he didn't want to do that. He's
Mhm.
like, I just want to live the rest of my life normal. And I said, well, if you do that, you're going to risk dying. And he's like, I'm ready. I just don't want no more surgeries, no more tests. I'm just tired.
Oh, wow. So, Beth, when you say surgeries, like how many had he had to endure in his lifespan?
He probably had about 9 surgeries.
Oh, wow.
And
That's a lot.
yeah. And every time he turned around, it was, oh, we don't know why he's choking. And then it's, well, he has dysplasia and it's not going to get better, but he can still eat. Then the next week they take his food from him. Really, that was the only thing he still had control of in his life was his food.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that right to take that from him.
Right. Mm.
And there was no other options, or like that was the feeding tube was on for the rest of his life was his only option at that point. And
And
of
never,
course, like you said, he had to make a decision for himself.
and he was very clear about it. He's like, Mom, it's just too much. So he had been in the hospital 33 days. So we brought him home and we made memories with him, made
Mm-hmm.
videos. All the kids came over. We spent a lot of time with him, something a lot of parents don't get. So I am grateful we got that time with him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Beth, you mentioned earlier you have 5 other children. Is that correct?
4 other. I had 5
4 others.
altogether. Yeah.
5 altogether. Yeah, I saw all of those beautiful pictures and videos that you sent over, and they were absolutely just so heartwarming. And then you said the youngest you adopted, and he's 12 years old.
Yes.
So I know you.
Wow.
I know you. Is that a 12-year-old son?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so Beth, so losing your son, and that's recent, right? When did that actually happen?
January 28th of 2024.
Yeah, that was just
This year.
Wow, Beth,
Yeah.
how are you coping with that?
Wow.
It's hard to describe.
Yeah.
Like me and Tasha, we say that first year was just such a blur.
Yeah, like
I didn't even realize it was so soon. I commend you for even being able to talk about, wow, I did not realize that it was just, and I know that before we came on, you mentioned just recent deaths prior to the passing of your son, and just me speaking from experience of what they call compound grief when you have back-to-back losses. Like how's the support system, especially when you say your youngest is 12, because unfortunately we still have to keep moving forward, and then when you have other children, it's very hard to even like focus on your grief or even give yourself time to grieve. So I mean, it's just April. Like, so how's the support system and how are you handling?
I mean, my support system's good. It's just as a mom, I don't think they understand how I feel from a mom's point of view. Yes, I have other kids and I'm grateful that I do because some people don't. So I try to look at the positive part of it. But some days I feel like I'm just dying inside and nobody knows it but me.
Of course, of course, of course, because it's not sure if you've heard this from people that have not had this loss, but people are quick to, when you do have other children, and we thank God for our children, right? But they're quick to say, oh, well, at least you have other kids. And, my thought is, well, you tell me one that you can live without. It doesn't make a mother that lost a child feel any better. We thank God for having other children, but that does not cancel out the hole in our heart for the child that's no longer here.
Right. Or they'll say, oh, he's in a better place. And it's like, would you say that if it was your child?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I promise you would be broken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And Tahita know my pet peeve on that terminology of they're in a better place. You have to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? And then it's different for everybody. It's different for every case, because like Joshua was killed by a hit and run driver. He was 24 years old. He was in the prime of his life. So for him not to be here with me and to be gone, how is that in a better place for me? I mean, for a mom, so it's going to carry different for every mom in every situation. But to piggyback on that's what, like what Tahita was just saying about the other children. Let me tell you something. Like Tahita knows, I tell everybody this because I'm not ashamed to say it, because it's so real and it's raw, and it was my reality. I couldn't even mother my other 3 sons, because Joshua, my first son, the one who made me a mother, like I couldn't even wrap my head around it, like, for years. So like, and then they're so different. Like the relationship I had with him is like none other than I would ever experience again in my life. My other 3 sons, yes, I adore them. I love them. I'm their mother. But the relationship dynamic is just so different. So all of our children, they're different. They have different personalities. They're just different. So you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow, Beth. And like you said, they wouldn't recognize it unless it's on their street. But we wouldn't even want, to wish that on our worst enemy, to be in the club that we're in. But the only thing we can do at this point and moving forward is to support one another.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Support one another, and realize that grief is so unique, and everybody's journey is so different.
Yes.
And just giving yourself time, because it just, me personally, each year has its uniqueness in how I'm processing it. It's just I don't even think it's any, I mean, people can say it gets better. I mean, that can be their perception. I don't even use the terminology of better. It's different.
You just learn to live with it easier each year, but it's not easier. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't get better. You just learn to live with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely different.
Yeah, I saw something. I don't know where I saw this or where I read it, but it was just like so familiar to me, because it was saying, we've loved our children. Like Beth, you had Michael for 39 years. You know what I'm saying? Tahita had Tajir for 21 years. I had Joshua for 24 years. So it's like we've loved them for all of these years, and now that they're not here physically for us to love, what is next but to grieve the love that we lost?
Right. Right. And like I try to explain to my other older kids, and even my adoptive son, you love each kid differently, and you have a different relationship with each child. And when your mom dies, it's one kind of hurt. And when you lose a dad, it's a whole different kind of hurt.
You better come on now, Beth, and tell it.
When you lose a sibling, it's another kind of hurt. But when you lose a child,
it's
a kind of hurt I can't describe.
Yeah, because it's indescribable. It's indescribable. It's something that a mother, I don't feel that should ever have to experience, but here we are.
A parent, period. Like, because I think, so, this is the thing, right? I had a meeting with an organization, and one of the founders of the organization, she lost her son. It's been 11 years. And she talks just like it has just happened. It's still, she gets emotional when she talks about her son. And we were talking about how the connection of the mom, right? So because we were mothers, we feel it more than anyone because that child was part of our body. Like that
Yes.
child was in our body. We shared like your son ended up on a feeding tube, but you were his feeding tube for 9 months before
Yes.
he was, birthed into life. So it's just such a intimate connection that we share with our babies. So when they're no longer here, it is part of us are gone. It's like,
Yeah.
and to process it, like you said, when you lose a mom and a father, and we can relate to that loss, it's devastating, it's painful, it's hurtful, but it's not out of order.
Yeah.
So eventually you get to a point where you're like, well, that was my dad. He should have passed before me. That was my mom. She should have passed before me. But when your child skips the order of what our mind expects, I raised my kids to support one another, always be there for one another. Mom's not going to always be here. And then
Yes.
when one is gone, it's just, so let me ask you, and I think that this is something that we really need to start asking, Tasha, is Beth, where you are right now, what type of support do you believe that you need
Yes.
to help you on your journey? What type of support? Like if you were to just, if you can just even come to words with what type of support you would need.
I mean, I know my husband and my kids understand, but I don't feel like they can understand from my point of view as a mom.
Mm-hmm.
As Michael being my firstborn, he made me a mom
Mm-hmm.
very, very early, and even when he was locked up, I would hear from him all the time.
Yeah.
And so for support would be, moms that have went through what I went through and understand when I say I feel like I'm in a dark hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just hear from everybody else, it takes time. And I
Mm-hmm.
get that. And I understand they're trying to be supportive, but some days I just want to scream. I want to say, is it gonna end?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's okay. It's okay, Beth, to scream because you have to embrace all of those emotions. You have to live in it. You got to stand in it because other than that, it will take you out of here. It'll take you out of here.
For sure. For sure. You have to embrace that. And because
Mm-hmm.
Tasha and I both talk about those ray of emotions, and
Yeah.
it is like, it's almost like a volcano. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
like bills, 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 bill. But I feel as though whenever I have my moments, I let it out
Yeah.
because it's too much to keep in.
Mm-hmm.
And to let you know, it's been so many parents that don't make it past this because
Yeah.
it is such a hard hit. It's a young lady that I follow on TikTok, and my heart just breaks for her because I don't have to imagine, like we don't have to imagine, but her
Yeah.
daughter was only 14, and she goes to her daughter's gravesite every day. And of course, she's being transparent on TikTok because that is part of her therapy video recording each time she goes. But you have people that have came on and saying, "Oh, you're crazy, you're this, you're that." But these are people that never buried the child. So they
Yeah.
can't understand why this woman has to go to the burial site of her daughter every day just to remain
Mm-hmm.
sane.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I always, feel like because we all grieve differently, as long as you're not doing something that's detrimental to your health or the health of others, this is your grief journey. And like I said, with you being on Facebook, we do have a private group for mobile
Yeah.
moms. I'm actually having a group call next week, which is virtual call for mothers such as yourself that are out of town, mothers that can't come to the local events that we may have. But it is a support group and it is a safe place because we all know how difficult of a journey this is.
And
Yeah.
Beth, let me say this really quick. And as far as those other children, those adult children, and even the 12-year-old that may not even begin to understand your grief right now, and even other support, family members and whomever that you have in your circle, come to grips with they may never understand. Come to grips with you need to set some healthy boundaries, because in order for you to heal in this process, you have to not care what they say, because they're never going to understand. Because if this never hits their street, like I keep saying, if this never happens to them, which we would never want that to happen to another set of parents, they're never going to really truly understand, because this is something that you have to walk in. This is something that you know what I'm saying? It's so hard to, for people to distinguish this antagonizing pain that pierces our heart 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like, this is something we go to bed with our children on our minds. We dream about them. We wake up with them on our minds and in our hearts, and it doesn't end. But like you say, each day, each month, each year, it may get a little easier to deal with it, but it never goes away. And those folk who have never experienced this, they'll never understand. So we do ourselves a disservice by even entertaining it, because it's just hurting us in this process.
Right. Well,
Absolutely.
another thing that would be good is starting a parent partner.
Yes.
Where we could call each other when we're feeling that way, and other moms are going to understand where we're coming from.
Yeah, I'm on board for that, Beth. I'm on board for that. I'll give you my number.
Let's start it.
Yeah, I'm on board with that, because we need each other. We're the only ones who know what this is like, what this feels like.
Absolutely. Let's start it. We can start it tonight. I can be your accountability buddy and check up on you, because we definitely and the young lady we had on the podcast that's also part of Mobile Moms, she has a group of moms, Darlene out of Baltimore. They have a buddy system. So I think it's a great idea. Mobile Moms, we have 80 moms in the group. We can buddy up, and have, and matter of fact, Tasha, on the last call we had last month, we did speak on that. And I do have 2 mothers that are in Culpeper, Danielle and Therese, that they have buddied up. So I'm just, we'll continue the buddy system. Like I said, on this live here, Beth, you and I can buddy up. And I'll definitely, if it's just a weekly check-in of, hey, and even when you have those hard times, because I have had moms reach out to me, I do coaching and I do individual calls, because unfortunately our family and friends, we're glad to have support, but they don't understand, like, aside from a birthday, the anniversary, every day is there, and grief comes in waves. You can hear a song, you can have a scent. Like Tasha said, she seen a gentleman walking down the street that looked just like her baby. That has happened to me on numerous times, where I just want to say, yes, you know what I mean? So, anything can bring on, today is a hard day. You know what I mean? It's no rhyme or reason. So to your point, thank you for bringing that up, because that is a wonderful suggestion, to have a buddy to check in,
Mhm.
someone that is a safe place, someone that knows exactly what you're going through. They don't have to imagine, because I'm gonna tell you, as time goes by too, Beth, you will find that it is people that feel as though almost like you lost a job or a pair of shoes or something, because they feel like because it's year 2, 3, 4, 5, or what have you, that they should be able to still have access to you. You should be over it, you know. And
Mhm.
I've had some moms we've had some moms come on that have heard family members, you know, basically tell them like, You're not over," like, and again, this is something that you would think, how could someone even say that about someone's child? But, you know, I just think that, you know, some people, because they don't know what this is,
Yeah.
so they can't
Yeah.
imagine. I don't, like I said, had a meeting with a mother of 11 years, and she teared up talking about her son. Like, she didn't say, "Oh yeah, it's been 11 years. I'm so much better now." Like, you know, it's still an everyday process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel like my friends that I've had for a long time, they're like, don't want to talk to me now because I bring him up. Almost like I'm supposed to already have forgotten about him, kind of thing. And it's really hurtful because it's like, I've been there for you all these years. And I'm
Yeah.
never going
You
to
know what?
bring Michael up, never.
Mhm. That's right, Beth.
Well,
That's right.
well, you
You
know
don't
what?
have to.
Yeah, and those are not friends. If they have an issue with you talking about your son, that you will keep his memory alive as long as you're alive, then I wouldn't. It's time to do some reevaluation, because
Yeah.
Absolutely.
anyone that want to silence you about your child, your baby, I don't. Yeah, that's not the support. Because if you want to talk about him every day, all day, then you have every right to do that. That's your son.
That's
And to
right.
keep
Right.
his memory alive is how we talk about our children, to keep their memory alive. And if that's offensive to anyone, then yeah,
Well, I would really like to put
reevaluate.
my energy on a cause, you know.
I
Yeah, but
definitely would love to help you on that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be some.
So
That'll
I
be some.
definitely.
Something. That'll be something awesome, Beth. What did Michael like? What did he love? Well, you know.
he loved coloring books
Mhm.
because his mentality was really of a 7-year-old.
Mhm. Mhm.
So he really just liked to color
Yeah.
and listen to
So
Beautiful
maybe
music.
colors
something
and
with art.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe something like with art you can do in and I would love to help you on that. You know, I have a scholarship program in memory of my son. I have some connections, and I've been figuring things out as things go. I have taken classes to help with a lot of stuff, and I'll be happy to help you start whatever you would like to start in memory of your son, because I feel like that helps too. Is
Yes, it
doing
does.
Yeah.
something in his honor, if
Yes.
it's like finding like a coloring convention or something that you can put his name on, you know what I mean? That's part of healing. And I'll be happy
Yeah.
to assist you with that.
I'd appreciate that. And I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, Beth,
Absolutely.
the pleasure. I mean, you know, you can't even say it's a pleasure. It's just, it's what Tahita and I, you know, it's God ordained. It's something, you know, that God birthed in Tahita to do with her Mobile Moms organization, and then I became a part of that. And then now with this podcast, it's like it's what we're destined to do. You know what I'm saying? And Beth,
Yeah.
I'm 52, and I've gone a long time. You know what I'm saying, in life, saying, oh, what is my purpose, and this, that, and the third. I never thought in all of my life
No.
that I would lose my son, and now my driven purpose would to be to help another mother that's going through the same pain and agony that I'm going through.
That's
Yeah.
true.
You like Tasha said, this is something that you don't wish on anyone, and as you hear about others losing a child and your heart just drops
Mhm.
for a
Yeah.
mom. And when it happens to you, it's one of those things where it's definitely unimaginable. But I tell you this, if I can say something positive that came out of a very the worst season of my life, is the fact that I'm able to share my son's story, and I'm able to, my son passed of fentanyl poisoning, and I work with schools, and I have been invited to the DEA's national convention to be on platforms with attorney generals in places that I never thought I would be in. And if that is to help the next mom not have to bury her son
Yeah.
because I'm sharing a story about not taking a pill and understanding the severity of what's going on. So what part gives me peace is that I'm able to share my son's story. I'm able to share his story through scholarship, knowing that education was big, and he was enrolled to go back to college when this happened to him. And so seeing that the kids that have earned the scholarship programs through, the memory of my son. So you find ways to find peace in your healing and honoring your baby, and it's never the same. Like, who I was when my son passed, that person died right along. They might as well put that
Oh yeah.
person in the coffin with my child,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? Yeah, you're never the same again, but you find a way. And I'm here to walk through this with you, Beth. I don't know you, but I feel like we were connected, and I will
Yes.
get to know you. And I'm telling you on this live, I'm going to walk you through this because I know how it is.
Yeah.
And I know how it's like you literally have to fight for your life, and you
Mhm.
have to think about your children that are still here, because your mind tells you, my mind told me I had to go and get my son. But I could hear God say as clear as day, if you go and get him, you can't come back. And what will your youngest son do without his mother? And that's what
Mhm.
kept me. That's what really kept me. So this is not a game. It's not a cakewalk at all. So that,
Mm.
and you get real clear on your priorities and what you would take off of people. It just changes you. I would say in a good way, because you set up those healthy
Yeah.
boundaries like Fort Knox, because you
Right,
realize that
Yeah.
you don't have time for no nonsense. Not at
right.
all.
You
You know what I
realize,
mean?
you really realize how short life is. That's the
Yeah.
damn truth.
That's right.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
That's right.
And,
That
and
is the
and
truth.
what we all share on this line, aside from the loss of the child, is the fact that it was our oldest baby that made us a mother for the very first
Yeah.
time. And I don't care if you have 20 kids,
That's right.
it's like that first love. You never forget the first time. I remember when I first found out I was pregnant with Tajir, and you just never, like, it's some things like I feel guilty, like with my youngest son, that I don't even remember. But the first time with Tajir, you remember everything. He was 7
Yes.
pounds 7 ounces. He was my birthday, and I remember this, and I remember when I was in pain, and you
Yes.
remember everything with that first
Everything.
child.
Right. That's right.
Everything. You remember everything because they were the first one to call you
Mhm.
mom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just, I just, it's
And
Beth.
I couldn't ask for a better son. He was such a good baby. He never complained, he never cried. He just was a good baby.
Mhm.
But if I get a purpose out of this to keep going for the rest of my kids, maybe
Yeah.
that'll help me heal some.
Yeah. It will.
It's
It definitely
true.
will.
It's true. You're so, I mean, I'm just at all the fact that you're even able to share your story in such a short amount of time.
Mhm.
You are amazing, Beth. You really are. Because I had no words for the longest time. I was silent in this because
Yeah.
I just, it just takes you, it's like someone has taken the rug and snatched it up underneath you. So it takes, to get your footing and to get your bearings to even know what has
Mhm.
taken place. So the fact that you're able to share your story so soon. Thank you so much. And like we said before we got started, your story is giving other mothers the courage to share their story. And Tasha, I want to
Yeah.
thank you for reaching out and in the group to seek out, and Beth, you just being the brave mom to say, yes, I'll come on and
Mhm.
share Michael's story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
I
any
appreciate you guys
final
having
words,
me.
Beth? No, no, no
Um,
problem at all. Any final words?
just if you're close to Missouri and you need a parent partner, I'm yours.
Yeah, I
But
appreciate that. Tasha, any final words for Beth?
Beth, I just thank you so much. Thank you for coming on. Thank you agreeing to, come on the podcast. It's always needed. I'm looking daily, for new moms and, to come on and, share their stories. But you're strong and you're gonna make it. You're gonna get through it. You're gonna do
I
something
appreciate
spectacular. You're
that.
gonna do something. You're gonna do something spectacular in Michael's remembrance, and that's gonna help you day to day because it gives you a new outlook on things because you have that to look forward to. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I haven't, put a niche in what I want to do for Joshua yet. But, I have ideas. I write stuff down every day. I'm always brainstorming and trying to put things together. But it makes me feel so good
Mhm.
when I do think about it. And so yeah, start doing that. Like Tahita said, she's going to be with you step by step to help you get that
Yeah,
all organized and up and running. But start focusing on that. Don't let, like I said, those healthy boundaries. That's something that should be on your to do list to
yes,
start tomorrow. Those healthy boundaries for those ones who you can't talk. You've always been a support to them, but now you can't even bring up Michael's name and they're yawning or they got to call you back. You don't need that, Beth. You don't need that.
No, I agree.
it's a
I
hindrance
agree.
to your healing. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
hindrance to your healing. And that if it's too much, what I've realized is if my grief is too much for a person to handle, I'm not going to stop grieving, and I'm not going to stop mentioning my son's name. If it's too much for you, then this may be the time for this friendship to end. And another thing too, it's one of those things where I feel as though certain things occur to kind of redirect us to different people. And it's
Mm-hmm.
okay.
right.
It's people that were in my life prior to my son's death that's not there now. And
Yeah.
I don't feel a way about anyone. I just feel as though we all have to do what's best for us. We all have to be in the support that's best for us. And like
Mm-hmm.
Tasha
Right.
said, create those boundaries ASAP
Yeah.
because honestly speaking, it is going to make or break your healing. Because just to be totally transparent with you, Beth, I I feel like really what has happened hasn't really hit you yet. Because to me, it probably wasn't even like a year later that I found myself on the ground gasping for my breath. Like it's
Yeah.
so because the human brain has to, because the loss of a child is such a significant hit that if you do a research on this, that it has to take it in doses. Because if it
Right.
took us like one hit, like when you hear about people having heart attacks at people's
Yeah.
funerals, that's like
Yeah.
because the hit
That's
is just
real.
such a, yeah,
Yeah.
it's so so I just when I would just have moments where I'm just like, maybe my son's at college, and then you're like, no, did this
Mm-hmm.
really happen? Then I'll think about like, well, I'll find his obituary, and I'm just like, this really has happened. So it takes, your brain has
Yeah.
to take time to
Yeah.
process,
It
because
does.
it's a lot. So
It
I'm
is.
gonna make sure, Tasha, make sure I have Beth's number, because I'm gonna make sure she
Yeah.
has my number. Beth, I'm gonna get you connected to the Mobile Moms group, and get you welcome with the group tomorrow, and I'm having a call with everyone next week. And we're just gonna walk you through this, but please, like Tasha said, those boundaries, and just staying very close knit with your safe people,
Mhm.
even if it's
Yeah.
one or two, safe people. You have to be in a safe place, because this is just so
Overwhelming.
it's just,
Yeah.
yes, it's just
Mhm.
so, it's yeah, so you just have to really, and it's almost like creating a survival list. That's basically what this is.
Right.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
lose a child, it's like a survival. You have to identify, like, okay, this has happened. Don't really know what has happened, because my mind's still trying to process this. How can I keep myself safe
Right.
with this?
Right.
How do I keep myself safe?
Mhm.
Right. You go into protective mode.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to, because you're fighting for your life.
Right.
Just being in this space for, what this is, we're going in the 5th year, Tasha.
Yeah.
This is year 5, right? So I know for Tasha it's coming up May, and then for me, my son, he passed the day after his 21st birthday in October. So in this small amount of time, I have heard of a number of parents unaliving themselves after the death of their child. So when it's life or death, it's life or death. And then even if they're, suicide is something that a lot of bereaved parents experience, but even just their own health failing, a lot of parents
Yes.
end up falling very ill after, because it's enough to kill you.
Oh my.
That's just, so you really just have to safeguard your heart, safeguard your health, and as many helping hands as possible. What you normally do, you can't take on everything that you normally do, because I can tell that you're super mom. Just,
I'm
you want to
overwhelmed.
take care of
Mhm.
everybody, but you got to take
And
care of yourself. You
yeah, and
really do.
when my brother passed, I couldn't I mean, I knew my mom was hurting, but I couldn't understand her grief because he was just my sibling. That was her
Right,
son. But then when my
right.
son passed, it was like, whoa. No wonder she sunk into such a depression and didn't come out.
Mhm.
It's a hard hit.
Right. It
Mm.
is. It is. It is.
But
It is.
I would like to be there for other moms and help them through it too, you know?
Absolutely. We in this together, Beth. I commend you, and Tasha has a heart to go, because we know, like, it's just, this is tough.
Mm.
This is
I didn't
tough.
even realize May was like around the corner. I just got a
Yeah.
lump in my throat when you said that. I didn't even.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
it
you know
doesn't get
what,
any easier.
Tasha,
Mhm.
Tasha, tell me, because I have an update about the massage. So the 18th, would that work for you?
Um. Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah.
Because and I'm gonna tell you, this is probably all Joshua was doing. We're coming to Largo. We're gonna do it
Oh.
in Largo.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. And so and then Jasper's afterwards. So I've already booked everything. I just,
Okay.
so maybe this is Joshua was doing to
Mhm.
for us to do. And Beth, if you're ever in the DC area, we would love to meet up with you. But like I said, we'll get you connected with the group.
Yeah.
And definitely I will get your number from Tasha, and I'm here to support you through this, and God bless you for wanting to support other moms. But I think at this point, because this is so new to you, let us be the support that you need right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Let us
Okay,
be the
I
support that you
appreciate
need.
that. And I appreciate you guys having me on. We'll
Definitely.
talk
We
soon.
thank you. Thank you so much for
Yes.
coming on. So we're signing off. Pretty in Peace, Not in Pieces. A healing experience. Tasha, I thank you, and I thank God for you. And I couldn't do this without you. I thank God that He has called you on this assignment with me. So I thank God for you and all that you do and the value that you bring. And Beth, thank you so much for coming on. And you have sisters in us, and we're gonna help you walk through this journey.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
All right, signing off,
Okay.
guys. Good
Okay,
night, everyone. Y'all
okay,
share
good
this
night.
live. Good night,
Okay, love you too.
everyone.
Okay.